Hi, this is Wayne with FoldingBikeGeek.com, and I wanted to talk to you today about 11 ways to make cycling more fun. First, I'd like to recommend that you get a job with your bicycle. The first job I did with a bicycle, I had a pedicab service in Eugene, Oregon. And I'm telling you, there is nothing more fun than riding a pedicab, giving people rides to football games and concerts. And if you have the right community, I would seriously consider either starting your own business or go to work for somebody who has one already established. If you only start with one bike, it's going to be tough because the insurance, the liability insurance, is going to kill you. But the more bikes you have, the cheaper the insurance is. You can lease the bikes out. I recommend it. Look into it. The second thing, the second job that I got was to deliver sandwiches for Jimmy John's. I'm having a great time. I'm doing that currently, and I'm having a great time with that. This is my rig right here. I have a Bike Friday folding bike, and I put some of the drinks there in my Free Monster pannier, and I have a drink holder up here on the handlebars. And this Samsonite suitcase is rigged up to the trailer. I throw the sandwiches in there, and off I go. If you hustle and you're doing this in the right community, you can make some pretty good money. You'll be surprised. The tips are generally pretty good. You have to learn the ins and outs of getting on the elevators and which bank of elevators, to meet your customer, calling people ahead of time so you don't have to wait for them. There's a lot of tricks to it. I've only been doing it about a month, but we have a couple guys that I work with who are doing quite well and having a great time doing it. Another thing that you could do to have more fun with a bicycle is learn bicycle mechanics. Now, I don't have anything fancy here. I have a bike stand. You don't need a ton of equipment, a few Allen wrenches. There are some bike-specific tools. I really recommend this book right here called Zen and the Art of Road Bike Maintenance. And this is really a great book with it has really good illustrations on all of the parts of the bike. It's very well written. It's 400 pages of really excellent material. And he really encourages you, even if you're not mechanically inclined like yours truly, you can learn this stuff. And as you go along, if you're running into more complicated things, I know on my pedicabs, bleeding hydraulic brakes was really tough, and I just would have a bike mechanic then. But I would recommend getting into it. Once you do that, the third thing I would recommend is restoring a vintage bike. Now, this is not a vintage bike. This is more of a bike that's mass-produced for Target or Walmart. But it was given to me. It was left out in the rain, and I just took some steel wool. All of these fenders and the bike rack were all rusted in, and I was able to get most of that off. Tuned up took the flywheel off, got the rust off of that, cleaned the chain, lubed the chain, adjusted the brakes, and now the bike is running pretty well. So, if you could get these at garage sales and pawn shops even, you might even find some on Craigslist where people aren't using them and they're selling them for $20 or $30. You might look up a guy on YouTube. His name is Bonafide Hustler, and he talks about flipping bikes on Craigslist and how you can make some money doing that. And he also talks about the brands that you would look for, because these bikes here, you're probably not going to get any money for. But sometimes you can find really nice bikes for $20, $30 that might need minimal maintenance, and you could go ahead and flip them. The fourth thing I would recommend is getting involved with local politics when it comes with biking. I live in Winston-Salem, and there is not one bike lane in downtown Winston-Salem, and it can be a little dangerous. I used to live in Eugene, Oregon, and that community is very bike friendly, but there's a group of people there who go to city council meetings, they lobby, They fight for the bicycling culture in Eugene, and it's really done wonders. So I recommend that. The fifth thing I would recommend to have more fun, again on kind of the political side, is get involved with a nonprofit organization, perhaps like I used to support Bikes for Rwanda. There's a nonprofit in Portland, Oregon, who realized that these coffee farmers in Rwanda were going up and down these steep hills, and they were making cargo bikes that had wooden wheels. And Bikes for Rwanda, they heard about this, and now they're supplying cargo bikes for these coffee farmers. I happen to love coffee, so organizations like that. The other thing I might recommend, the sixth thing, is put a bell on your bike. Now this is not only for safety measures, but this can be fun going down the street. And I get a lot of comments about my rig here. So instead of just waving, I'll ring my bell, and that always gets a grin. And I know when I had my pedicabs, ringing the bell it drew a lot of attention and got customers on the bike. And so get a bell. They're kind of fun if you don't have one. Another thing you might try is for riding bikes, and is riding a bike to the grocery store, to run errands. If it's under 2 miles, instead of getting into your car, get on your bike. If you're just going to go get a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk. So that can save you, actually, every mile that you ride a bike could save you 50 cents. And that's taking in gasoline, repairs, depreciation on an automobile. So at 50 cents a mile, you could save some money by riding a bike. I think a fun thing to do if you ride with a group of people is the day before or the night before, maybe early morning before you leave, load up a cooler with some lunch meat, some fruit, maybe a bottle of wine, and take it out onto the route where you're going and hide it behind a tree or something. And then as you come up to that point in your ride, you pretend like something's wrong with your bike and you have to stop, and then you go out and you get all the food and wine for everybody. So I think that would be kind of a fun thing to do. You might try that with your girlfriend or your wife too. Score good points that way, I'm sure. Another thing that I did when I was a kid was I learned how to ride a unicycle, and I recommend that. You don't really have to go out and buy one. Some larger cities have unicycle clubs where you can get on one and try to learn how to ride it. If you really enjoy it, go ahead and purchase one. But those are fun, and I've seen people use them for transportation. It takes a little bit of balance, it'll take a little bit of practice, but you can do it, and don't tell yourself you can't. They're a lot of fun. One thing you might try, I used to live in Reno, Nevada, and Greg LeMond used to live there and train out in Washoe Valley. And riding with a pro or semi-pro, if you're really into cycling and racing, could be a very good thing and a lot of fun. Those guys are loaded with information about cycling and training, and if you're lucky enough to get that done, that could be a lot of fun. The last thing I might want to recommend here is that you ride a ride. It's called the Great Allegheny Passage. It is a route from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, all the way to Washington, D.C. Actually, I think it stops in Maryland somewhere, but it's real close to Washington, D.C. 400 and some odd miles, all on non-motorized roads, and that's being put together by Rails to Trails, which is another nonprofit you may want to look up, Rails to Trail Conservatory. So there's 11 ways to have more fun cycling, and if you would like to read the article that I've referenced below on my blog, it's called 68 Ways to Have More Fun Cycling, and there's a lot more on there. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up. Have a great day.